The book of Matthew chapter 25 verse 14 to 30 is going to probably make a more impacting imprint in your mind. The book of Matthew, will just turn one page before that, 2 pages before that. Matthew chapter 25, 14 to 30. Jesus is speaking and explaining to the disciples, "For the kingdom of heaven is like a man traveling to a far country, who called his own servants and delivered his goods to them. And to one he gave 5 talents, and to another 2, and to another 1, to each according to his own ability, and immediately he went on a journey. Then he who had received the 5 talents went and traded with them, and made another 5 talents. And likewise he who had received 2 gained 2 more. But he who had received 1 went and dug in the ground and hid the Lord's money. After a long time the Lord of those servants came and settled accounts with them. So he who had received the 5 talents came and brought 5 other talents, saying, Lord, you delivered me 5 talents. Look, I have 5 more talents besides them. His Lord said to him, Well done, good and faithful servant. You were faithful over a few things. I will make you ruler over many things. Enter into this joy of the Lord. He also who received the 2 talents came and said, Lord, look, you give me 2. I now have 4. His Lord said to him, Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful. You have been a faithful servant over a few things. I will make you ruler over many things. Enter into this joy of the Lord. Then he who had received the 1 talent came and said, Lord, I knew you were a hard man, reaping where you have not sown and gathering where you have not scattered. And as I was afraid and went and hid your talent in the ground, look there you have what it is yours. But his Lord answered and said to him, You wicked and lazy servant, you knew where I reap, you knew that I reap where I have not sown and gather where I have not scattered. So you ought to have deposited my money with the bankers, and at my coming I would have received back my own money with interest. Therefore take the talent from him and give it to him who has 10 talents. For to everyone who has, more will be given, and he will have an abundance. But from him who does not have, even what he has will be taken away. And verse 30, and cast the unprofitable servant into outer darkness. Let's stop there. We taught you extensively about outer darkness, what it means. If the death was real, if the resurrection was real, and if there's evidence of outer darkness that's real, then this story, make sure you understand, is real. There's many people that are going to outer darkness for many different reasons. But one of the reasons that I want to highlight today, for the purpose of what we say, is the unprofitable servant. You'll make it to outer darkness if that's your goal. Outer darkness is a place that you'll be swallowed up in your existence. First the lake of fire, then outer darkness. It's a very dangerous place. If you didn't get the message of outer darkness, which was preached last week, please ask Dion to get a copy for you. Outer darkness is not a place you want to be. So if you believe in the scriptures and you believe in the Lord, these are his words recorded. Now, what does it mean? I'm going to start by saying this. God or Jesus, whichever one you want to use, term, gave his very best, held nothing back on the cross. The purest, best offering for the payment of sins, he offered it. He gave his very best. Somebody say very best. Please, it's important because your salvation can depend on it. That's God's principle. The very best. When God was creating Adam and Eve, and they had children, two children came out of them. One was Cain, and the other one was Abel. Do you remember them? Because you were inside one of them, unknowingly. Cain was an agricultural farmer, farming plants or growing trees and having orchards and all that sort of thing. And Abel was a farmer of sheep and cattle and that sort of thing. And there came a time when God required an offering. And the Bible records that the two of them, first, Abel brought an offering. Abel brought the best of his cattle. Bible says it was fattened calves. Even the fat that is valuable was given with that. His best he took from his flock. Nobody told him. There was no instruction. He just felt in his heart, I need to give God the best. So he went, by the way, it's not about money. He went and got his best. And he gave it to God. And then Cain saw his brother giving something. So he said, let me give something too. So he didn't choose his best crop. He just chose any crop. And he gave it. And so God was pleased with Abel. God said to Abel, well done. I am pleased with your offering. Cain got jealous. Cain said, what about mine? I gave you too. He says, look at your brother's offering. It is the best of what he's got. Look at your offering. It's just anything that came from there. Do you blame me for not being pleased? It is the foundation of understanding the principle of God. God gives his best. He requires the best. Are you understanding that? When Jesus went, he said the profitable servant, when the master spoke, it was the time when he went, which was today, 2,000 years ago. Today, 2020, if my calculations are not right, 2000, somewhere around there. But anyway, that day when he resurrected, he came back after that and he told them, or before he went, he told them, when I go, I'm going to leave you all, and I'm going to leave you all with the abilities. And when I come back, I'm going to see what you did. And some of you are going to say, I did nothing. And you're going to be held responsible for it because I expect you to give your very best. That is my principle. It goes on, and he asked Abraham, who couldn't have a child till he was 100 years old, and when he did have one and the child was 12 years old, he told him, go and kill him. That's your best offering, I want him. God in fact saved Abraham from that because Abraham was willing. That's why he blessed him so much. He made him the father of the Jews. And so, as time went on, when Jesus came, we won't talk about all the other times. There's, many times where Jesus, where I could explain to you the best. But let's look at Jesus. When he was born, things that matter, wise men came from far and wide to give him gifts. So he had a treasury of gifts before he could start his ministry. The Bible also says that when they killed him, they didn't tear his garment or his clothes. They had to cast lots for it. And the reason for that is because he had a uniquely woven garment that was so very expensive. It was made of one piece of cloth. It was a carducci. What's the expensive ones now? Very expensive. It was very expensive. Let's put it that way. He had it on. And it was so expensive that they didn't want to, like split it up or tear the cloth or whatever. No, they cast lots and said, we want the whole piece. Jesus drove a brand new Ferrari into the triumphal entry. At those days, the donkey was the transport vehicle. And it was expensive. Obviously, you know what a Ferrari might cost today. That was a brand new vehicle that he told go pick up. Before that, one lady poured expensive nard on his legs and his hands and anointed him. That bottle cost in our day 1 year's salary. He says, leave the woman because I require the very best. Everything God did was the very best. It wasn't about money. It was about requiring the very best. And that is the principle of the Lord. Requiring the very best.